Hello again, friends, fellow hunters, outdoor enthusiasts, lovers of all things Western. Welcome back to In the Wild Outdoors with Bren and Jesse. I am co-host, singer-songwriter, big game hunter, sometimes hunting guide Bren Hill of Hooper, Utah. Here with my brother from another mother, co-host, bush pilot, hunting guide, owner of Saddle Horn Outfitters, Jesse Tatman of Daniel, Wyoming, and we are excited again to bring you stories and real-time insight on all things pertaining to the West and particularly Western big game hunting. This is In the Wild Outdoors. Oh, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. You?
Oh man, I'm well traveled.
I'll bet you are.
Yeah. I mean, you're well traveled too. I think when I go 2 or 3 states away, that's when I feel like I've traveled a lot. You know, I got to go to California here coming up. You know, that week-long gig that I do there every year, and no, it just seems like from about now till the end of the middle of fall or something, it just doesn't turn off, you know.
Right. You got all the fairs and everything coming, you know.
Yeah.
I know Hagen was asking me yesterday. He's like, "How many sets of tires do you wear out a year?"
Oh man.
I said, "Well, at least 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
You know, but I spend a lot of time under a stock trailer, so they get a lot of wear on them anyway. But
yeah. And I've been doing like 40, 50,000 miles a year, 50, 60,000 miles a year for 20 years. So I know the guys at the tire store.
Well, that's why that song, "Oh, Rocky Mountain Drifter," fits so well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. That was RL's one of his favorite songs.
Oh, he loved that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was his favorite.
He would text me that all the time. Yeah. Well, man, as always, you have the coolest friends, and they are just resourceful guys, and you've got tons of history with them. Today we have from the Uinta Valley area.
Uinta Basin, yep.
Uinta Basin, somebody that saved your rear end a few times.
And some others.
This is Austere medicine expert. Is that what... Yeah,
close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Somebody who specializes in how to save somebody without a pharmacy nearby, and boy, we as outdoorsmen need that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is Steve Doc Pearson from the Uinta Basin. I don't know specifically what town you're from, but
I live outside of Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Hancock Cove.
Gotcha. All right.
On the way to Bluebell there, you know the back road where you come up and you go up through Bluebell and you get to Altamont. Mm-hmm. He lives out there in the God's country out there.
Had a fun gig in Altamont one time. That's a spirited bunch of folks out there.
Oh, yeah.
They can be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my honor to be with you.
Yeah. You are a Green Beret.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I spent 12 years in the service.
Man, thank you for that.
You bet. Oh, you were worth it.
We appreciate freedom here, and especially the folks who protected it.
Yeah. I was a Cold War warrior. I just happened to hit it. You know, I went into active duty in '78, and I got out in '90. And so there's about 12 years there, but we didn't have any declared conflicts during that time. There was still people, lobbing bullets at each other, but it wasn't in a declared conflict.
Yeah. It was a tense time, though.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was a tense time. and I loved the regiment. I love Special Forces just because of the quality of people that are in it. When I entered the training pipeline, I think it was about 140 men who started out in that. And it, for me as a medic, that's about a 2-year training period. We started out with about 140 men. And when I went through my graduation ceremony, I think there was only about 28 of us left, 28 of us left. So there's a real weed out, when you get to that. But what I picked up real quick was, you could get hurt during the training and that would recycle you or something like that. But everybody went into that knowing that you were going to be, very physically demanding kind of training. So that was expected. But where people failed out was either academically, or they just couldn't put up with the stress of the training.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time it was all done, like I said, dropout rate was, I don't know, 75% or better.
Wow.
Failure rate, dropout rate.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's a pretty elite group, and the thing you find there is that you get so cohesive. You get on a team, and rank disappears. It just disappears. You're just working as a team, and that officer never needs to say, "Hey, you go do this or go do that," because everybody on the team knows exactly what their jobs are and exactly what's at stake. And the lives of those team members are reliant upon everybody else on that team, and that's a very unique, to my experience, that was a very unique environment for a military.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and that's the kind of stuff that just sticks with you,
Yep. What kinds of things did you do in that era, in that Cold War era? Where were
train?
Yeah.
Train for the war that's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
With a focus, I guess at that time, you're kind of thinking about the Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union was a big one, but also there was, the growing concern of the drug traffic out of South America, and you had rising terrorist threats in the Middle East, and in areas like the Philippines, Southeast Asia, and the Philippines. People don't realize that, but that's a huge nest of Islamic terrorists.
So if I remember right, because I was pretty young, I was 4 years old when you joined, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, but through that time from then until 1990, there was a bunch of hijacked aircraft. Hijacked aircraft.
Yeah, the Entebbe incident was during that time frame, and so like I said, there was things going on. It just wasn't a declared conflict, but there was still things going on. I remember doing training missions in like Laos, and that was immediately post Pol Pot era, and so there was still things happening around the world, but like I said, it was all just kind of there but not there.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So.
What was your favorite training? Like, what did you enjoy?
Oh, I loved it all. I remember going through airborne training, and man, some of those guys, and that was just scared to death. And it never bothered me. It never bothered me a bit. I could stand in the door of that airplane at 1,200 feet or 5,000 feet. It didn't matter. Just look at the ground going by, and when I got that tap on the butt, I was out the door. It never bothered. It was just a way to get from there to there.
Yeah.
It never bothered me a bit. And so I don't know. I mean, we spent a lot of time in the woods. So the field training was always there. We did training in just about everything you can think of. That A team, that Special Forces team, is comprised of 2 officers, 2 intel and operations specialists, 2 medics, 2 radio guys, 2 demo engineers, and 2 weapons specialists. So you have a 12-man team, but you can split that into 2 6-man teams. And a lot of times when you'd be on a mission, it was designed that way, so that you had one of the principal specialties always represented on that, whatever that operational team looked like. And our goal when we were trained, we were trained. All the guys that trained me were just out of Vietnam, because I went through training group only 3 years after Vietnam ended. Mm-hmm. And so all of my training cadre was Vietnam veterans. And the whole thing back in that era was what they called unconventional warfare. And so we were trained to be dropped behind enemy lines or something like that, and find and build an underground and a guerrilla force. And so that team of 12 was able to actually, call it force multiplication, but that team was able to go in and train and equip a battalion-sized force.
Oh, wow.
And so that was the uniqueness of the mission compared to what the Ranger Regiment does or what the SEAL teams do. SF, the Army Special Forces, was designed for unconventional warfare. And so that was the mission.
Wow.
But it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't have traded for anything. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, that obviously makes you think about being resourceful, thinking on your feet, doing things without the tools that you might otherwise have. So maybe that led you to the kind of stuff you're...
Well, it did. My dad was in the Navy in World War II. And when I was growing up, I always really respected that. You know, he had a picture of his ship on the wall and, you know, a letter from his captain and his medals and stuff. And I thought, you know what? I just grew up in that I had an expectation myself that I would go in the military just because that's what my dad did, you know. Mm-hmm. So, but I wasn't thrilled on the Navy. So as I grew up, went through the teenage years and things like that, and started to look into a little bit more, I looked at the Green Berets and I'm going, shoot, if I'm going to the military, I'm going to go with the best guys out there. That's you know, that's just the way it's going to be. And so when that opportunity came about, that's exactly what I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I went in. When I went to the recruiter, you go through the battery of tests and everything, and he comes back and he says, Steve, you can be whatever you want to be. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to go SF. And he says, well, there's only two options. We're full on radio, or we're full on demo guys. We're full on the weapons guys. He says you can be a medic or you can be a radio man. And electronics to me I've never sparked at all. There's no spark in me for electronics. So I said, okay, fine. I'll try being a medic. It's a door in. You know, I can go on and get cross trained and all this other stuff. And so I went to the medical program, and man, it just clicked. It just clicked, and it became so it wasn't just something I had to learn. It was a passion.
Yeah.
And as I went through that training, and the training for an SF medic, we have to operate independent. Those medics are independent. They have to operate independent of medical control. I mean, they're in clandestine, back behind the enemy lines type of operations, and they have to be independent. And so the medic training was extensive, and it was long, and we learned anesthesia, we learned surgery, we learned pharmaceuticals. We had to practice medicine, and the only thing we had was either what we carried in with us or what could be airdropped to us, you know, at some future point. Wow. And so it became, not only did I have to take care of the team, if we had indigenous people we were training, I was the doc for them. Mm-hmm. And so we learned medicine, but we also had to learn veterinary stuff because raise the standard of living, right? Win the hearts and minds. That's unconventional warfare. Dentistry, we had to learn dentistry. We had to learn veterinary stuff, and we had to learn all the medical stuff. And so that propelled me. When I finished that training, I said, I'm going to ride this horse as far as I can ride it. I'm going to take this wherever it'll go. Yeah. And
so then you got out, and then you went in.
I stayed in reserves. The 19th Special Forces Group is headquartered in Utah.
Oh, okay.
And so I could stay with the 19th Group and did my undergraduate work here through Utah State and then Weber State. I went to medical school. I started medical school in '81, and then transferred my residency. My medical school and residency was in Wisconsin. So I transferred to the 32nd Mech Infantry in Wisconsin, National Guard unit. And then when I finished all of that medical training, I came back to Utah and went back to the 19th Group, and they put me in as a 1st Battalion surgeon. So then, of course, then I'm an officer.
Right.
So things changed.
Yeah.
And I at that point in my life, I was in the military because I didn't want to be a doctor when I was in the military. I wanted to be in the field.
Yeah.
And just the way things roll now I'm an officer, I'm a physician, so I'm in the surgical slot, and I'm spending my whole weekends doing doctor stuff, which is not what I signed up to do. I went to the colonel, my battalion commander, a guy by the name of Colonel Waite, good guy, and I said, Colonel, I'm just not fitting into this thing. I was working 8 hours a week trying to get a practice going, and we had a little cattle operation we were trying to run on the side, and I said, son, I need a break. That's what I need. I don't want to be a doctor while I'm doing this. And he looked at me, and he had this incredulous look on his face, like, what the heck are you telling me? You know, and I said, well, why don't you buck me down to an E7, put me back on a team where I can get back out in the field. And he looked at me and he says, Steve, you are the only Special Forces qualified physician in the entire 19th group. And if you think I'm going to put you back onto a team, you're out of your mind. And I said, Colonel, you're not going to have me at all if something doesn't change. Well, it never did. And so something had to break, and that was it. So I got out in 90. And about 5 months later, we went into Kuwait.
Wow.
And Colonel calls me up and he said, Steve, I don't know what role we're going to play in this. It turned out it wasn't much for the 19th group. But he said, I don't know what role we're going to play, but I sure want you back. And I said, well, okay, I might be up for that. Let me talk to my wife. And I went and talked to her with my wife, and she said, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I don't blame her. You know, even in the Guard, when we would go on training missions and things like that, I couldn't tell her where I was going. I couldn't tell her when I was going to be back. I couldn't tell her what we were going to be doing. You know, and that's I don't care who you are. That's hard on a family. That's hard on a wife.
Oh, absolutely.
Just the unknown thing. So
I got a buddy who enlisted later and he's Doc. He's an ear, nose, throat surgeon.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's just even being in the Guard can be kind of exciting and unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but those are lasting times, lasting memories, and they were the launching pad for where I would go in my career.
Yeah.
So then you started as your own.
So I was working emergency rooms and doing some family practice work in the rural Utah, and I had a good friend that was working for the Indian Health Service, and so he calls me up one time and he says I got a slot, Steve. I'd really like to have you come work for the Indian Health Service. And at that time, I'm working 78 hours a week, and here I get a job offer for 40 hours a week, paid vacation, retirement, all this other stuff. And so I signed up, and it would allow me to bridge my federal time in the military with federal time in the Health and Human Services. So.
And that was for the res, or were you working on the res mostly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I worked at the clinic there, the Indian Health Clinic at Fort Duchesne, and eventually worked up to where I was the clinical director, and I served in that position for 7 years.
Wow.
And then retired from that.
Yeah.
But my whole focus, my whole career, has been focused on rural frontier delivery of medicine.
Well, I know that at some point you and my brother started being world travelers.
Yeah. RL and me had a really, really close friendship. And I'll never forget some of the. If you're budding around with RL, it's an adventure. It's just an adventure. And so, we went all over Europe and different places. We did a lot of humanitarian stuff. I've done
Africa too, somewhere, didn't you?
Yeah, I went 2 times to the Horn of Africa as a civilian, not military. Did some work in Ethiopia, Eritrea, and then I from the state side, I organized a lot of medical relief efforts that went into Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia, Central America. Did a little time down in Guatemala, and so I've done that. The world tour of developing medicine, or where developed medicine isn't.
Yeah. Didn't you guys like drill some water wells or help get some water
We did.
wells?
Yeah, we
done?
worked with a company that was doing some water well work in Ethiopia. In these developing countries, water's a big deal.
Yeah.
And a lot of waterborne diseases are there just because there's not the sanitation. You know, that they'll have a river or a stream, and all the tribes gather along that. And if you're at the end of the stream, the water's a whole different color than it is
Oh yeah.
at the top of the stream. You know.
Yeah.
So
And
you was with my brother when he was knighted, I think.
Yeah.
You was there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was knighted. I was knighted by the papacy. We were doing work in Ethiopia, and we fell into a close association with the Ethiopian royal family. They're in exile, but they still hold a lot of influence in the country. And so we fell into a relationship with the descendants of Haile Selassie, the last emperor who was deposed in 1974. And so we went over there a couple of different times, and we took medical equipment over there. We did some humanitarian work on the ground there, and through that relationship with the royal house, the recommendation was made that we receive a knighthood for that. And so that's how that came about.
That's awesome.
It's kind of, I mean, these are things that you go through life and you have these serendipitous events that you couldn't have planned for them, you couldn't have anticipated them. It's just the way the cards fell.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of my life, I think, falls into that.
Part of that is being friends with the Tatmans.
Yeah.
With RL and Jesse. Yeah. Talk about serendipity.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this path that you're on, I mean, you obviously get into these places where you don't have the resources that you would normally have to treat somebody.
Yeah.
Did you have to go do some study of holistic things, or what?
I have done. I've done quite a bit of work in plant medicine, for example. There's another Green Beret guy out there I work with pretty closely. His name's Sam Kaufman, and the path that he took after SF medic training was into the herbal medicine stuff. He's the best herbalist I've ever met. He's out of Taos, New Mexico, and he's got a big school. He does a lot of training and focuses on plant medicine, and he's been all over the world doing that too. And so, yes, the thing. There's two things about working in an austere environment, and you guys being out in the wilderness, you qualify for that austerity label. One is your medics have to know more, and they have to be able to think through a problem. And in order to do that, they have to have a little bit more medical insight than the typical medic would have.
Right.
And that was the lesson I learned from SF medicine. If you have the knowledge to figure out what the heck is going on, then a lot of times you can improvise and come up with the things you need if you don't have it. And the more you know, the more versatile you become.
Well, I know, you and I now are working on a plan. You're gonna put a bunch of training into myself and my guides.
Yep.
It's something that we're venturing into because of the wilderness. And
Yep.
When we've talked about it, and we're going to do, learn a lot from you that the guys don't know that I've been able to learn from Randy Melton. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the 82nd Airborne. Mm-hmm. The day when I called you and the horse rolled over that guy, and I had to call you, and why you answered the satellite phone on an unknown number, and it was me on the other end.
Serendipity.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Like, Doc, we got a man down. And and you was able to tell me, and we evac'd him. Mm-hmm. And with Randy's help, I'd never laid out an LZ.
Yeah.
Me and Randy are out there with chainsaws cutting the trees down. He's got a mule hooked up, and we're dragging trees out of the way to make an LZ. Mm-hmm. And he went back to his training like he just took right over,
Yep.
Boom,
Sure,
right. But that's the kind of stuff we have to have, and that's the training, and then we're crossing these rivers like the Snake, mm-hmm. and we talked about, swift water rescue,
yep.
Stuff like that in case we get somebody in the water. You lost a friend, a guide that drowned in a river, So all this stuff comes to mind, mm-hmm. and that's why we're getting you involved, you and your
Yeah, Dr. Smith, Dr. Russell Smith.
Yeah.
Well, we saw a need for this. Well, I've seen it for a long time, but I'm getting to the end of my career as far as practicing medicine goes. I mean, I'm still practicing, but I really like to teach. I love to teach, and I've taught my entire professional career. I've taught. I was on the faculty at the University of Utah as a clinical adjunct faculty member, and I've taught residents. I've taught medical students. I taught paramedics before I went to medical school. I was on Weber State faculty, and I was instructing paramedics, and I just love to teach. And I think after 40 years of practice in medicine, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
But also your life experience and all the stuff that you've been exposed to from the special forces and the training you had there, and all the countries you've been in and the things you've seen and the things that you have done. We all learn from our experiences.
Absolutely.
And we learn as much, probably, at least I do. I learn more by mistakes and experience than I can in any classroom.
Sure.
Like, I'm not good at classroom, so you coming to the field and what's going to be able to teach the guys.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it.
Right. So the Wilderness Medical Society is a professional society that's been around for 30, maybe 40 years, maybe longer, and so they've developed practice standards, you might say, for wilderness medicine application, and a lot of that is just right in line with what I learned when I was in the military. Same thing, different label, but a lot of the same stuff. But in the course of all of that, they came up with different certification criteria for austere practice, not physicians so much, but for EMTs or even not EMTs. And so what we have done is Russ and I looked at that curriculum and said, okay, this is all pretty good stuff. Maybe a little weak here, maybe a little strong there, and we've just tweaked it and put it together based upon our own experiences. And Russ is an outdoorsman. I mean, he's a hunter, he's a rafter, that's all he does on his time off is that kind of stuff. And so he's got the background and is very familiar with outdoor operations. Plus, he's an ER doc, so, and the two of us clicked it off really, really well.
Well, I know some of the most strenuous, stressful situations I've ever been in is having somebody injured in the wilderness.
You bet.
Or in Alaska.
You feel so helpless. People just, what am I going to do with this?
Right, and you get weather, like, we had a guy last year and the weather was coming, and, Alaska, I've been exposed to it too, and they may not get a helicopter to you.
That's right.
If you need one.
Yeah.
And then on the wilderness, you got to get permission, and there's all this stuff,
Yeah.
And
the whole idea is, and this is where it divides from, your EMS services like EMTs and paramedics. Those folks, and I was one. Those folks are very, very, very good at what they do, but their practice is focused on go to the scene, do what needs to be done, transport to the hospital, and you've got an exposure time of maybe 30 to 40 minutes with a patient. In urban areas, less than that. Well, now, there's not a direct line correlation between that scenario and being in the backwoods, where now I can't get this guy out, and how do I take care of this emergency now for the next 12, 24, 36, 48 hours while I'm trying to figure out how to get this guy out of the wilderness? And that's the big, long bridge that has to be gapped between what conventional EMS or emergency medical services teaches and the reality of where you guys are going to encounter the injuries.
Right, and that's like when that cup bank caved away and that horse rolled over cub, and it ruptured his diaphragm, separated his shoulder and all that, and he's going into shock, and he walks 2 miles back to camp.
That's pretty good.
Under his own power, leading his horse with a separated shoulder, and he gets back there and he's going in shock. Melanie calls me, on the radio, and she's like, Jesse, you need to get back here. Me and Randy talked about this before, and I call you on the phone, and we had that conversation, and you said, can he get out of there under his own power? Sounds like a tough guy, and I'm like, well, the problem is if we leave this spot, we've got gaps of 30, 45 minutes in between where we can even land a helicopter because of the timber and whatnot, and you said, well, then you better go ahead and get him out there.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we done. And we made a place to get him out there. But it would have been bad if we was down in the canyon.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, and also having you on the phone, I have that resource that a lot of people
I like that you have Doc on call.
Right.
Maybe on speed dial.
And I'll tell you something. I believe that to be a very valuable resource, and in the program we're looking to put together for not only hunting guides and outfitters, but also river guides and people like that, is exactly that, where we would contract to be on call for the medics we train through satellite phone or whatever. And so they would have that online medical expertise if they needed it. And that's a service I'm hoping we'll be able to provide.
You and I've talked about it, from altitude sickness. Me and Brent talked about EpiPens,
Yep.
Like somebody get up there and go into allergic reaction they don't even know they've got it, Like it's on the guide, and it may not be me. It might be Dason, it might be Randy, it might be Jake or Gary, and it's on us.
Yeah.
And we have to have the right training to make sure that their life, and it might be that guide, it might be his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And so I think our society is becoming more litigious all the time, and that's a risk for you guys. I recognize that as well. It's a risk for me. And the biggest protection you can have is the amount of training that your people have, and how well you document what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different arena of the training than what most guides and that are used to having.
But I've been in some bad scenarios, and bad situations with wrecks and exposed to it to where I know, and even in the oil field, I've had some bad ones, like fatalities. Like I've seen some bad shit, and on the mountain I have. And now in my areas, we're dealing with these grizzly bears. We just had this guy in Montana, like a week ago, first grizzly bear attack of 2025 already happened, and the snow isn't even gone. Which he was lucky he shot the bear.
Yeah.
That was, attacking him, and he didn't get harmed. But it's so fast, and it happens so fast. And I've been through those, from those to horse wrecks to airplane wrecks to, there's so much that.
Well, and it's an uncontrolled, and you just pointed it out. It's a very uncontrolled environment. It's not like wheeling a patient into the emergency room where the environment is totally controlled. You are at the mercy of everything. And it's a totally uncontrolled environment. And when you get an injury, that just compounds everything.
Well, everything else goes out the door.
Exactly.
Everything just
exactly.
And then if you got weather and you got other, your focus goes. It isn't hunting. It's keeping this person surviving, no matter what kind of an incident that is.
That's exactly right.
And we have to be trained. And the other big part that you're going to help us train is the rescue part, because of your time in the special forces. And I see that, and I've asked you to help us with that, and your partner, because there's not a lot of that out there. Like, I've learned it from Randy, and I've been able to learn it from guys that have done it in the military and stuff like that, and that's where I got my training. But there's never been really anywhere that I went and was trained either, other than by people. And as far as I know, I mean, there's some out there if I looked real hard, but I have you as a resource, so I don't have to go look, right? But it's very critical to me, and my business and my guides and my clients.
Sure. So Russ and I, Dr. Smith and I, we started a company called Black Swan Medics. And the website will be up, I'm hoping, within about 3-4 weeks. But we're ready to start. We're ready to start talking to potential clients and getting our program out there.
I think we'll probably have some folks that are interested in that. So, what do you happen to know what the website will be?
Yeah, I think it's Black Swan Medic or Medics, all one word, .org. But if they want to get a hold of me, they can just call me. I'm happy to talk to them. I'll give you my phone number, and I'll give them their phone number.
They can also reach out to us on here and get Doc's information, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Yep.
Anybody that's interested as well,
Yeah. We might be able to put that in the description also. Yeah, but
we're ready. We're ready to go. We got our teaching curriculum all set up. We can do. The Wilderness First Responder certification is about a 90-hour training, and we can do that all face-to-face, or we can do about 50% online and 50% face-to-face. There's a lot of skills with it, but you have to have the background knowledge to appreciate why you're doing the skills we're giving you.
Right, I know in my camps, and all my trucks, I got this wilderness first aid book. It's about this thick. And I could just imagine,
thumbing through that, trying
to, you got a wreck. And, I got Doc, like I call it, like he sees my
he takes advantage of me, but I let him.
To have a friend like Doc, it's like it's like when I need him, I need him. And he knows usually when Jesse calls me, there's something,
This $5,000 guitar right here, this custom made that, you couldn't build it again, was tied onto the back of a side-by-side going up to the High Ridge camp there, in the Palisades 2 years ago, so we could play tunes around the campfire. So, Jesse gets special treatment.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of medicine.
It is.
Yeah. But a necessary one.
Yeah, exactly.
A necessary one.
Yeah.
But I fully understand the environment you're working in. I know that. I've been there. I understand exactly the challenges you're facing. And so that's what we do. That's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being here, and we think we'll probably have some folks that are pretty interested in what you do and want to log on. One more time, blackswanmedics.org.
Yeah.
And when we get that clarified, we'll have it in the description on this episode.
I'll let Jesse know as soon as that website's up and going live. I'll let Jesse know so he can pass it along to everybody. But and like I say, in the meantime, if somebody wanted to call and talk to me about it, what we do, I'm up for that.
If we save one life, it's worth it. So we appreciate you making the jaunt over. I did see you say you don't like electronic, but you got a ham radio sticker in your truck.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, that's just part of the. Communications is so critical, and so I have my ham general license.
That ham radio community is a pretty tight and interesting bunch of folks.
Oh, it's an interesting group of people. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I fit into that community that well, but it's a really good skill to have.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, we thank you for being on, Jesse. We wanted to mention we have an archery elk hunt that we are right now selling tickets for, raffle tickets. We're going to draw for that here pretty soon.
In June, right? And that's for 2025.
Yeah.
September 2025.
Yep.
Saddlehorn Outfitters, we donated one to raffle. We just gave the bear hunt away, and we're getting ready to get that done.
Yeah, have a good bear hunt. Remind me again, the archery hunt is 5 days, is it?
It's 5 full days of hunting.
Okay.
It'll be 7 days total.
All right.
A pack-in day and a pack-out day.
And that's on the Palisade side?
It's on the Palisades.
Yeah, that is one heck of an opportunity. So log on there, get your raffle tickets, get in on that. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel, saddlehornoutfitters.com. You can book a hunt with Jesse. Drop him a line, find out how to learn more about how you can get started in Western big game hunting. We have another episode coming up. We're going to talk all about how to get folks going in the sport of Western big game hunting if you've never done it before, because we are getting a lot of messages from folks who want to just say, hey, where do I get started? So we got that coming at you pretty soon.
And we do try to answer all of them when people come and put their...
Yep.
So if you have any questions or anything, reach out to us. You can just go right on to the channel. And
we like the happy ones and the grumpy ones. We do get some grumpy ones, I noticed, my music is at any of the streaming sites, brenhill.com. You can find the performance schedule there, or Brenhill Music on the socials. We are produced by Richard Casperson and his whiz kid son, who's an awesome songwriter, Tyler, here at Beautiful Oasis Studios in northern Utah. We appreciate them very much, and we appreciate you tuning in the Wild Outdoors. We'll see you on another episode soon. Have a good one.